My name is Lydia Embronyosa of the 218. This afternoon, I am the first one to discuss to you all about the typology of learners with special needs. So this topic is very important for us, future educators, for us to be knowledgeable, for us to be aware, and for us to be prepared how to handle those children with these disabilities. So let me start with learners with intellectual disability. Number one is cerebral palsy. What is cerebral palsy? It is a brain disorder that affects a person's ability to move and maintain balance and posture. 21. What is trisomy 21? This is also known as Down syndrome. It has a genetic condition caused by extra chromosomes. So, classmate, as you remember when we are in first year, what is the normal chromosomes of a child or as a human? Anyone? How many chromosomes?
46, Jack.
Okay, very good. 46. Thank you so much, Ate Angelica. What are they? Number one is dyslexia. What is dyslexia? It is a common learning disabilities that can cause problems with reading, writing, and spelling. People with dyslexia may be highly intelligent and creative individuals, but still struggle with basic literary skills. Let us go now to dysgraphia. What dysgraphia is? It is the neurological disorder of written expression that impairs writing ability and fine motor skills. Let us go now to dyscalculia. It is a learning disability in math. People with dyscalculia have trouble with math at many levels. They often struggle with key concepts like higher versus small.
Good evening, classmates. I am Krisa and Agrippa. I will discuss about the learners with physical disabilities. So, what is physical disability? It is a substantial and long-term condition affecting a part of a person's body that impairs and limits their physical functioning, mobility, stamina, or dexterity. So let us know about visual impairment. As traditionally used, impairment refers to a problem with a structure or organ of the body. So, visual impairment, it is visually impaired children may be defined as those children who suffer from the impaired conditions, difficulties, and deficiencies present in their visual organs, which make them different from children with normal vision to extent of requiring special education provision. Second is the hearing impairment. So the definition, hearing impairment, generic term that has frequently been used to cover the entire range of hearing loss. Deafness, hearing loss that is so severe that speech cannot be through the ear alone, with or without aids. Hard of hearing, individuals who have a hearing loss that makes it difficult but not impossible to understand speech through the ear alone, with or without hearing aids. The third is the speech impairment. So speech impairment is abnormal speech that is unintelligible, is unpleasant, or interference with communication. Forms of speech impairment: articulation, the abnormal production of speech sounds. So last, we have the multiple physical impairment. Students with multiple impairments have more than one disability in intellectual, physical, and or functional abilities. Children with multiple disabilities will have combination of various disabilities that may include speech, physical, mobility, learning, mental, retardation, visual, hearing, brain injury, and possibly others.
My name is Shabili N. Garcia, and now let's proceed to my topic, gifted and talented children. Who is gifted and talented? Gifted, having extraordinary intellectual ability and creativity. Talented, having exceptional skills and ability in a specific area such as art, music, science, and languages. We have visual art. Two sets of characteristics are associated with visual talented children. We have behavioral traits and characteristics of their artwork. So we have here music. What makes a person musically gifted? Mostly likely, it is a combination of the two. Someone with inherent musical talent will find it easier to pick songs out from listening and play them on a variety of instruments. And the other one, the understanding of music comes naturally to them because their brain processes the oral information at other level. Children from all populations. Gifted means students who perform or show potential for performing at remarkable high levels of accomplishment when compared to others of their age, experience, or environment, and who are identified under Division A, B, C, or D of Section 3324 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Good evening, class. This is Angelica Claveron. The topic that I'm going to discuss under typology of learners with special needs are learners with socio-emotional disorder and learners with chronic illnesses. So now I'll begin to learners with socio-emotional disorder. There are emotional behavioral disorder, anxiety attack, depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, and bipolar disorder. Now let's start first discuss about emotional behavioral disorder. Emotional behavioral disorder is an emotional disability characterized by the following: an inability to build or maintain satisfactory interpersonal relationships with peers and or teachers. Next is anxiety disorders. We all experience anxiety from time to time. But for many people, including children, anxiety can be excessive, persistent, seemingly uncontrollable, and overwhelming. And postpartum disorder, it is a depression suffered by a mother following childbirth arising from the combination of hormonal changes, psychological adjustment to motherhood and fatigue. So there are two mothers here. I want to ask you if did you ever experience this kind of depression, like postpartum depression? Any from the two kids are leads?
Yes, this postpartum depression, I've experienced this with my newborn baby.
Let's go to obsessive compulsive disorder, often referred to as OCD. It is actually considered an anxiety disorder. OCD is characterized by recurrent unwanted thoughts, obsessions, and repeated behaviors, compulsions. Repetitive behaviors and washing, counting, checking, or cleaning are often performed with the hope of venting obsessive thoughts, making them go away. Today, I am going to continue my report last night. Now, I am going to discuss about learner with chronic illness. There are asthma, diabetes, epilepsy, and allergy. So now, what is asthma? It is a condition in which your airways narrow and swell and may produce extra mucus. Those can make breathing difficult and trigger coughing, a whistling sound, when you breath out shortness of breath. Now is diabetes. It is the condition in which the body does not properly process food for use as energy. Most of the food we eat is turned into glucose or sugar for our bodies to use for energy. Now is epilepsy. It is a central nervous system neurological disorder in which brain activity becomes abnormal, causing seizures or periods of unusual behavior, sensations, and sometimes loss of awareness. Allergy. It occurs when a person reacts to substances in the environment that are harmless to most people.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Luella Moya, and I'm going to discuss the learners in difficult circumstances. So, the children or the learners in difficult circumstances are more vulnerable in terms of the risk to the right to survival, protection, and participation. They are not fortunate enough to receive an environment which is conducive to provide appropriate development opportunities. Under the learners in difficult circumstances, we we have the learners living in remote places, the victims of war, products of broken family, street children or
Bipolar
children from
disorder, also known as
impoverished
manic
families,
depressive illness.
and the
Bipolar
victims
disorder
of
is a
abuse.
serious medical
So first and
condition that
foremost,
causes dramatic
the
abnormal mood
living in
fluctuations.
remote places.
Severe change in
Remote
energy
places
behavior
are
go
defined
along
as
with these
places
changes
that
and mood.
are out of the way or considerably secluded from civilization. Access to education is a major challenge for children in remote areas that there are many factors that can hinder education and children would not have been able to attend school for many reasons. Next, the second is the victims of war. A person who has been attacked, injured, robbed, or killed by someone else, or a person who is cheated or fooled by someone else, products of broken family. Street children or children from impoverished family. Street children is a term used for both children who have no family and literally live on the street, and for children who may have parents but they make their money in the street. Victims of abuse. Child abuse is any action by another person, adult or child, that may cause significant harm to a child. It may be physical, sexual, or emotional, but can just as often be about a lack of love, care, and attention.
Good evening, everyone. I am Maria Jessa Rachel Nation. I am going to discuss about the learners from indigenous groups. First, let me discuss about the indigenous people. Indigenous people are tends to less access to a poor quality of education than other groups. Their education often does not incorporate curricula and teaching methods that recognize the community's histories, cultures, pedagogies, traditional language, and traditional knowledge. The example of indigenous groups in the Philippines is the Lumad. The Lumad are composed of numerous indigenous peoples scattered throughout the Mindoro Island. In 1980s, the various forms of intervention done by IPAs and religious congregations were any or a combination of the following. Reasons for education interventions are the following. The need to understand the system of transacting business in the marketplace. Second, the need to read street signs, newspaper, and legal documents, and to vote and participate in activities outside their communities. Third, the need for other livelihood options because the community's resource based or finding employment. Fourth, the need to access health services and going to school is equated with being educated, and education means liberations from poverty. IP experiences in education. School as a venue of discriminations, which is the prejudice, financial inadequacy, comprehensions difficulties, adjustment difficulties. Their own system. Number one, the community decides on their school overall direction, management concerns, and key content that should be a part of the curriculum. Indigenous people have a curriculum too. The indigenous peoples have a sequence of content and competencies to be taught based on the stage of growth of the person. Indigenous education therefore has a curriculum which varies depending on the situation of the tribe.